All right, here we are. Awesome, awesome. It's a beautiful day today for swimforrecovery.com. I got my buddy Rob Decker coming on here in just a second. And I'm going to do more of my stuff on the end of this because Decker has snuck out to his backyard so we can coordinate this while his kids are hanging out inside and get some stuff done. So, anyway, I'm going to bring Rob on and then we'll get back into kind of my stuff afterwards. So, let's see how we're doing here. Mr. Decker, what's up, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're cutting out a lot there.
All right, I think we're good though. I got you on. Can you hear? If you can't hear me well, I can hear you well. Um, so it might just be our connection. But so you're sitting in your
Yeah,
backyard right
it
now,
just
eh?
sounds like there's a. I am sitting in my backyard right now, man. I'm hoping to pull this off while the kiddies are doing their thing, and um, hopefully I'm not being too irresponsible as a father. Trying to knock this out real quick.
You're not. You're not. You can even walk back and forth. But I know we were trying to
Oh, I
coordinate to
could see
get
them.
this recorded, but we're just going live. We're just going for it. All right. Oh, you can.
100%, man. I'm down,
That's
bro.
good. At least you can see your kids. At
Yes,
least you
yes,
can see
yes.
your kids. That's cool. So all right, Mr. Decker, you're hanging out. So we always start off with what's your sobriety date? So what's your date ish?
Um, it's January 8th, 2013. We're almost up on 10 years, my friend.
Man, we're about to cross that decade mark. Awesome. And what was your drug or drugs of choice?
Woo! All right. So alcohol, cocaine, ecstasy or Molly, right? And marijuana.
All right. So a cornucopia of substances about 10 years
Yes,
ago is
sir.
kind of what we're looking at. And you're in Colorado
Yeah.
right now. You're down in the Springs.
Yes, I'm in Colorado Springs, but I'm originally from California. That's where all the chaos ensued. And, I've been out here in Colorado for 4 years. So super sober since I've been here.
Super sober. When you said that, I thought of super soaker. I'm like, that causes a lot of fun in people's lives. So super sober,
Right?
which is cool. So all right, so we got
Yeah.
like 10 minutes to kind of just kind of highlight. We don't need to go like into the depths of
Yeah.
everything, but so what was it? So you've been sober about 10 years. Something
Yeah.
happened that got you sober, but then what was life like, and how did substances enter the picture in your life?
Just having a troubling childhood. My both my parents were alcoholics and addicts, and that was the environment that I was exposed to. At a very young age, I was molested by a neighborhood kid, and his dad and my dad were friends, and so there was nothing to report to my dad. My dad was kind of like the alpha marine, like, you don't cry kind of guy, and so that's not a relationship that I ever had with my father. Um, and then when I was in high school, my very first relationship, there was another guy involved where he got me and my girlfriend really drunk, and he took advantage of that situation. And that was my first time ever drinking. And the crazy part is, what I walked away from that wasn't so much like the dysfunction of the sexual stuff. Not that he didn't do anything to me, but he definitely took advantage of that situation with my girlfriend. And I'm sure that it impacted me when it came to relationships and all that kind of stuff, because I was heavy into porn as well at that time. And I forgot where I was going with this. Um,
Just talking about your dad and taking advantage of and situations in porn and
thank you, bro. So what happened was is that when I walked away from being intoxicated that night, the thing is all my worries left me for a little while, and I kind of like that. Like I felt like crap the next day, but all my worries left me, and so, dude, that just started me down a path of drinking. But then, being in high school, getting introduced to marijuana, then shrooms, um, then acid. I started going down that path, and by the time I was 18, man, I was a full blown alcoholic. And then, my mom and dad got divorced, and in my home, I never saw love and trust. I never saw that between my parents. All I saw was a lot of anger and hurt, and emotional and physical abuse. And so I just jumped down the rabbit hole with the drugs and the alcohol, man. And it was all throughout my 20s that I hardly even remember at this point in my life, because I was so intoxicated for most of it. I eventually met a young lady, and in that relationship, she ended up accusing me of rape and attempted murder. and I attempted to take my life by jumping headfirst out of a third-story loft window, severing my spine and breaking my body to pieces. And then I was told I was never going to walk again. And suicide was something I struggled with for a long time in my life. You know, from a little kid, I remember drawing pictures to my mom of a guy with a gun to his head. You know, because even at 15, 16 years old, like I just didn't want to be alive. So this is something that I struggled with. My identity, you know, my self worth was something I struggled with my whole life. And then when I was 29 and jumped out of the window, dude, like um, I kind of had to start life over again. And initially, it was really tough because I couldn't really walk, I couldn't really do much. And then the hospital poured all this medication into me so that I wouldn't feel pain. I had a psychologist come see me, and he deemed me bipolar, right? And so now I'm dealing with all this stuff, and I was already dealing with like this ADD thing, right? So here I am, like, oh, I'm all sorts of a mess, man. And for the next 5 years of having pretty much to do my own rehab, I eventually got off most of the pain pills because I was able to get back in the gym. I was able to learn how to walk again. And, but it wasn't until about year 4 or 5 into surviving the suicide attempt that I got behind the wheel of my girlfriend's car. At the time, she's now my wife. But I got behind the wheel of the car, and I ended up crashing her car and leaving the scene of the crime. And what I realized was that this drinking thing and this using thing, after after being given a second chance at this life, was just destroying me.
Mm.
And so I made a promise to God that if He bailed me out of that situation, that I would never pick up the bottle or use again. And in that moment, I think what happened was is that like my heart felt something, man. I just knew what I was doing wrong. And I knew that every time I put the bottle to my mouth or did a line of Coke or popped a pill, like I knew it was wrong. And I knew it. And I knew that I was consciously making a choice. And, you know, I didn't want to make that choice anymore. And from that moment, I have never picked up the bottle. I've never been tempted to drink again. I, you know, walked away from drugs completely. But even harder than that, man, because actually that was kind of the easy part of it all,
Yeah.
was was now unpacking my childhood, unpacking like being molested and checking my identity and my self-worth, bro, and really having to heal from those things. Um, it was a lot because now you're asking yourself to forgive people for the things that they did to you that led to a lot of your behavior, right? And so I had to forgive a lot of people in the process, man. I forgave my mom. I forgave my dad that raised me, who wasn't my biological father, but he raised me since he was 6 months old. I forgave my biological father for not being there. I just had to. There was just a lot of forgiveness and all that, and you know, and then commenced all the healing. And then in turn, I was able to heal from a lot of my stuff. And if I wasn't completely healed, because the reality is this, is that some of that stuff is so deep, I don't think you necessarily heal from it, but you develop amazing tools to be able to cope with certain situations. And you also understand why you have particular behaviors, right? And then when you have that understanding and you know your whys, it makes it a little bit easier to deal with. And so now I can apply that to my everyday living, which has allowed me to help other people that are struggling with trauma and mental health and drug and alcohol addiction.
Yeah, quite a journey, and that's, you know, when you get rid of the substances, the alcohol, the whatever, and stepping into who you really are, right? Uncovering that, and there's a big airplane over your head.
Yeah, man. You just like, hey,
Yeah,
we're just gonna feel electricity.
he said, Rob, whatever you're gonna say is not important. I'm just gonna drown this whole thing out. But you know,
Right?
dang. So, but here you are, right? You get rid of the substances, something, and you learn about yourself, and then you
Yeah.
have a choice to dive in and deal with that or not. And I look at what you do now. So I want to talk to you about what you're doing now because
Yeah.
you get to spend intimate time with people while they're breaking themselves down, working out, and kind of getting to
Yeah.
the pushing themselves. So what are some tell people like kind of in a like kind of a short synopsis of what you do now, and then maybe a couple cool stories of
I'll,
working
tr-
with people.
I'll try to sum it up in like a Cliff Notes kind of way.
Yeah.
Ultimately I'm a health and fitness coach, right? I believe in physical movement. I believe in fitness. I believe in taking care of yourself. I believe the positive that comes and impacts your brain through movement. Like, I believe it completely, and it's what allowed me to get off of pain medication, right? Becoming strong. So pain is an indicator, right, that there's something wrong. But fitness and strength training has fixed a lot of that stuff for me. It has strengthened my body so that I don't have to do that stuff. So that's just one avenue. I'm an addiction recovery coach too. So if that's what someone's seeking out in me, that's another avenue. So it could be fitness, it could be, that, or it could be my recovery rebel stuff, right? Like, I have recovery softball teams that I run. And so maybe they hear what we're doing out here in the community. They want to become part of that team. And then, honestly, man, for me, faith and my belief in God is it's the biggest one. It's the biggest one. But I also know this, that a lot of people are afraid to step into the church because they've been judged or shamed. And so how do I bring God out into my community without throwing all that extra stuff on them? You know what I'm saying? So, faith is a key player in all this. And so whether it's ministering to people or helping them walk through their drug and alcohol addiction or unpacking some childhood trauma, like, I'm not the end all answer for everybody, man, but I know that I can play a key role in somebody's life if they're open to get the help.
Yeah, well, and that's why we're doing the Swim for Recovery campaign. Swimforrecovery.com is to share your story that is going to resonate with somebody, they're going to resonate with someone else's story, right? And just all these different avenues, man. But I mean, what you've gone through, and when people kind of dive more into what you do, I mean, no, it's only like a 10-minute kind of story overview type thing here.
Yeah.
I know I've done your whole story before, but when you look at
Yeah.
like X-rays and the stuff that you've gone through and overcome, and it's like, man, this guy's like bionic, man. And you watch
It's funny because.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, it's just to watch those and see what you're doing and watch some of the exercise you do. I'm like, God, that's just insane, man. But that's what you have to stay in motion so your body continues to
Right.
stay fluid, right?
Well, yeah, 100%. But and here's the thing with a lot of like what you see and that I share is that I went from a guy that had nothing but limits in my life, right? The lies that were spoken into me as a kid and just what I created of who I was in my mind. It was all there were limits on it, and now I live like this limitless life, right? Like, dude, the sky is wide open for you to achieve and to do whatever you want to do. And I mean, to a certain degree, it's like, I fall into the category of overachieving because like the vision or the dream cannot be big enough. I think I was suppressed for so many years through the drugs and the alcohol and the trauma that it's like I've broken completely free. And I believe anyone can have that. You know what I'm saying? Once you start believing in yourself and when you start unpacking all that stuff, man, the stuff I do on Instagram, like, anyone could do that with their body on Instagram, even broken to pieces and rebuilt.
Mm. Powerful stuff right there. Well, hey, Decker, it's good to know you as a friend, man, and all you're doing to help people is pretty awesome. And thanks for kind of making some time. Just say, hey, I'll hop on live today, even though you got to take care of the
Yeah.
kids. We got duties. I got a little puppy over here that was like terrorizing a blanket yesterday when I was being interviewed on a show, and I'm just like, dude. But hey, we squeeze it in, we make it work, and maybe we'll see on the 29th at the big party in Denver. We'll see. So.
Yeah, let me see what we could do. I mean, there's a lot of great people going to be there.
Yeah.
You and it's in Ryan's little hangout spot, and Frank Sinclair's a good friend of mine too. So
yeah,
let's see what we could do, Robbie.
Now. His daughter's going to speak now and share
Michelle?
her story. Bree.
Which one? Marie. All right.
Bree, B-R-I-E.
Bree, that's it. Bree. Yes.
Yep. So it's going to be pretty awesome. We just solidified that today. So keep up the good work, man. And I'll hit you up next time we're doing whatever the heck we're doing. So
sounds good, Rob. Thanks, bro.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Well, there you go. Another great story. Another great person in recovery out there doing some cool stuff and just finding his pathway and changing lives. So far this month, I've swum, swimforrecovery.com, swum 14 miles, 924 laps, the length of 246.4 football field lengths. That's how far I've swum so far for swimforrecovery.com. We're on our 14th story today of sharing hope with people, and that's what this is all about. And all this is leading up to September 29th. Mark your calendars here in Denver metro area. Also live online. We're going to be hitting this, streaming the big party live with people. So there's the domain name right there. And grab that, write it down on September 29th. Come here. It's going to be, we're giving away, free books, as we have supplies to people that are coming from my addiction intervention book right here, which hit #1 bestseller on Amazon. If you want a copy, just go to Amazon and look it up, the addiction intervention book. And we got some great speakers lined up for the September 29th. And this wasn't all originally planned. It's just kind of happening now at the end of the month. We're going to wrap up swimforrecovery.com. We're going to celebrate the book. We're going to celebrate these inspirational speakers that are going to be sharing their stories. And it's just going to be an awesome party. So September 29th, that's where it's at. Feel free to share this post with people. And I think that's it for today. So we'll catch you tomorrow. And thanks for tuning in. God bless them.